Honored to be joined by the head coach at Clemson, Dabo Swinney. We got 2 national championship trophies over the shoulder. This is a beautiful office, Coach.
You.
I was going to wait until later, but I was thinking about this. Your post 2010 press conference. So you guys have just gone 6-7.
Yep.
And you go, the next decade of Clemson football is going to be the best one ever. Like, do you have any stock tips? Do you have anything else? Any other bold predictions that we can piggyback on that one from?
Yeah, we haven't even come close to the best years at Clemson. So and I think that it wasn't only the best decade at Clemson, it was the 3rd best decade in the history of college football. And even in these first 5 years of this decade, we're ahead of that pace. So I know we've supposedly hadn't been very good, but these past 5 years, but we're ahead of the pace that we were in the teens. And so I'm excited about where we are and what's to come.
Dabo, I don't know if you know this about me, but you got me into trouble on the Paul Feinbaum show because we had to do this thing at the Athletic where we ranked the Mount Rushmore of coaches, and I put you on mine. And the reason why I put you on mine, Coach, because you've done something at Clemson that nobody else has done, which has taken a program that was proud and successful, and you turned it into a juggernaut, right? And there aren't very many other coaches who can claim that during this modern era. And my question to you is, with the changing landscape in college football, the way it's different now, how you going about assembling a roster is changing, players are changing, compensation's changing. What would your advice be to another coach taking over a place like 2010 Clemson and turning it into what you did now? Like, if your starting point was now, what would your advice be?
It'd be the exact same as it was when I got this job, and that is, what's your purpose? I think you got two ways to be successful, I believe. I think one is you can do what everybody else does and just try to outwork them, be smarter than them or whatever. Or always be reactive to what they do, or you can be unique and you can be different. And when I got this job at Clemson, I really feel like Clemson is unique and different. If we were going to be successful, we were going to have to do it in a unique way. And that's what we've done. And we've been purpose driven for going on 17 years, and that purpose hasn't changed. And if you're purpose driven, then the results should reflect that after 16 years. And that's what our results are. The number one thing in our program is graduation. It always has been. We got the highest graduation rate in America, 394 seniors, 389 graduates. We just posted the highest graduation success rate that's been posted in 20 years in college football. We also have the highest retention rates in the country the past couple of years in this crazy free agent world. So we've just stayed focused on the purpose, and we've never compromised, what's maybe best in the moment. We've never compromised what's best for the long-term health of our program, of our organization, and more importantly, what's best for these young people that God puts in front of us. So, that's really my advice. I mean, what's your purpose? What are you about? And you got to have some conviction in who you are and the way you do it. And it is a blessing. I mean, Clemson is, when I got this job, we hadn't won 10 games in 20 years. We hadn't won the ACC, and that was an 8 to 10 team league. We hadn't won the league in 20 years. We've won it 9 times now. We've played for it 10. We've been to 7 playoffs in the past 10 years. We've won our league 8 out of the last 10 years. We got the highest graduation rate in the country. We've never had a number 1 recruiting class. We always average about 13 every year. That's kind of where we are in my 16 years. But now that Nick Saban's gone, we've won more games than anybody the last 16 years. Got the most draft picks, most first-round picks, most championships, but the highest graduation rate and the highest retention. So I think the way we've done it has been unique. It's been different. And a lot of people don't understand Clemson. They don't understand our purpose. But we've never compromised what's best for the long-term health of this organization and for these young people for maybe what's best in a moment.
Well, and we've talked about that, and obviously everybody has an opinion on how you handle the transfer portal. I thought you broke it down really well because it changed my mind on it when I heard you talking to Roddy Jones about it at Amelia Island last year, where you explained where you were coming from with the way you handled the portal. And it was interesting because I hadn't thought of it that way, but basically you said retention's our biggest thing. And if we're going to bring somebody in, we can't mess up the guys that we've poured into. So you take 3 transfers this year, and they had their press conferences last night. I heard Will Helt talking about, I couldn't even believe Clemson was recruiting me. I didn't think they took transfers. But how did you decide how you were going to venture into that and still keep the culture that you've clearly worked very hard to create?
Yeah, I mean, again, we just do what's best for Clemson. We've always done that year in and year out, regardless of what that is. And as the portal has come about. So again, you can't have the highest graduation rate in America, and you can't be top in the country in retention, in this crazy free agent world, and go sign 1 million portal guys. So something's got to give somewhere. We're not against the portal. We've used the portal 3 out of the last 4 years. We've used the portal. We've just signed what we need. The portal is a great tool. And again, everybody just likes to make up their own stories and narratives, and they like to get a bunch of clicks and all that. But, in the meantime, we just keep winning. And that's we just go on about our business. Most people don't understand our program. So it's a lot of wasted time trying to explain it. But everybody has to use the portal in today's era in some form or fashion, because if a kid leaves in the spring portal, you can't get a high school kid in May. So we just haven't had, if you look at our retention, we're in the bottom in the country, like in fewest players leaving our program. It's not that we don't have some guys leave, but fewest players. And we are getting our top picks in high school. So like this past year, everybody wants me to go get this portal receiver. I went and got Wesco and TJ Moore. I think they're pretty good. Well, guess what? They're here for more than 1 year. They're going to be here for a while. I'm not against the portal. Everybody wanted me to fire Cade Klubnik, but we forget it's a developmental game. And now Cade Klubnik's, he's a projected Heisman guy. Kids get better. And so I think you have to evaluate well, you got to develop well, and you have to retain well. And that's been our formula here. And we've been able to recruit who we think, we're not always right, but who we think are the best fits and the best high school kids are. That's been our approach. That's been our philosophy. Now, this past year, we had 2 high school kids, or one in particular. We were going to take 2 defensive ends, and we had a kid that decided he didn't want to come to Clemson a couple weeks before signing day. So he goes. Well, recruiting is over. There's no high school kid to get. There isn't a high school kid to get. So, all right, I'm like, all right, well, let's go find who the best. Let me look at all the DNs. And I looked at all the DNs in the portal, and I said, that's the guy, Will Helt. So I called Will Helt up, and I said, hey, man, here we go. And we went and got – so our philosophy is not any different whether we're recruiting the portal or we're recruiting a high school kid. Our philosophy, our evaluation, how we go about it is exactly the same. So I'm not against it. We just use it when we need to. And I've also said many times, if I left today and took a job, half the team would probably leave. So you can't go sign 40 high school kids. I don't judge other people. Everybody's situation is different. But again, everybody wants me to be like everybody else. And again, we've been to 7 playoffs in 10 years. We haven't been 10 out of 10, but I don't think hardly, maybe Alabama's been 7 out of 10, and we've won this league 8 out of 10 years. And we're graduating our kids at the highest rate in all of college football. 13 out of the last 14 years, we've been top 10 in the country, Clemson, Duke, and Northwestern academically. So we just stay focused on the purpose. We stay focused on the way we do things, why we do it that way. We have fun. I love my players. And, we just kind of own our business, man. And again, we're not going to win the national championship every year. And if we're going to be judged by that, I think we're 5th in the country in wins in the last 5 years. And no, we haven't won the national championship, but how many people have, number one, I think, but all those 5, I think, have all played for it. So I think you gotta be consistent before you can be anything else. And that's what we've always focused on, not being a up and down program, being a program that is consistently performing at a championship caliber level on and off the field. And that's who we are.
Dabo, I began this discussion telling you about how I put you on my Mount Rushmore, but this is also an honesty podcast. Like we are true to ourselves, and I have to tell you that
you took me off. You cut me off of it.
No, you're still on.
Oh, I'm on there. Okay, good.
I have been at times very critical of your roster building. Okay. And maybe I am one of the people who doesn't understand Clemson, but I wanted to ask you, Dabo, have you ever, during this 3-year period of evolution, had any moments to yourself, maybe in your office or at home? I do a lot of my thinking in the shower, of like, is what we're doing still going to work? Have you ever been nervous about that or thought second of like, well, you've got kids in your program, but other teams are taking players who are improvements in the portal, even if they don't need them, and accentuating the roster in a way that Clemson hasn't done yet. Like, have you ever had any honest moments of like, maybe we need a waiver, maybe we need to do something different, or have you stayed tried and true to yourself and never been concerned about your process?
No, I'm not concerned about that at all. I have total conviction in how we go about our business here. Does that mean I make all the right decisions? No. We're all human, and we all, make mistakes, and we don't always make the right decisions all the time. But hopefully we've made a lot more good ones than bad ones, over the past 16 plus years. So just always work to get better. You're always trying to get better. But again, my North Star is the purpose of this program. And that's it. Not what other people are doing. I've never tried to live from the outside in and compare. I've always focused on building my life and building this program from the inside out. And that's what we do. And again, there's a lot of decisions that you have to make, and you're always evaluating yourself and trying to get better. But I don't sit around and worry. And we've won our league 8 out of 10 years, and we've been to 7 playoffs in 10 years. So I think I don't think there's another program in the country that can say that. So I think, and then we have the highest graduation rate. So I think, honestly, I've never tried to, and that went from the time I got this job. In the very first board meeting I went to, and one of the board members said, "Hey, we want to be like this school and this school and this school, and we want to be great academically and athletically." My message has always been, well, I don't want to be like that. I want for them to want to be like Clemson. That has not changed. We just stay focused on being great where our feet are, fulfilling the purpose that we have. We have a ton of fun here. That's why our retention is so high. I've got 24 former players on this staff that I get to do life with every single day. Got an awesome group of people. And again, from time to time, if you make a mistake or you have to make a change, that's part of life. That's part of the business. But as far as how we build our roster, and again, I don't have a problem with people having opinions, and that's just comes with it. You sign up for this job, other people have opinions, and I respect other people's opinions. But I'm not driven by other people's opinions, other people's criticism, other people's expectations. I'm driven by the purpose of this program, and I'm driven, through what I believe is, doing what's right for the 30-year-old version of these kids.
One of the changes you did have to make is that you changed defensive coordinators this year. You bring in Tom Allen, who's he was at Penn State, but he was the head coach at Indiana. I'm curious because I remember when that hire got announced, I thought, oh my gosh, that is the perfect guy to work with Dabo, because Tom is, you guys you're very out front with your faith, but also both of you, if you talk to your players, like nice up front, but they'll get you if there's an edge to be gained. And Tom's whole philosophy at Indiana was love each other, and that very similar to the philosophy that you've had in your program. But what was it that got you to thinking that Tom's the right guy for this job?
Yeah, so these are tough decisions, and when I made a decision to make a change, and just kind of did my research. First of all, we'd never really met. Maybe once in passing somewhere, but he called me when he was an interim, I believe, at Indiana.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he called me during that time, and then reached out a few times over his tenure as a head coach. And so I always liked him just from watching him from afar and knew a little bit about him. But when I started kind of doing my research, and I had a lot of people to look at and consider, and got it down to about 10 or 12 guys. And then I got it down to 5 or 6, and then I got it down to 3, and just unbelievable candidates. And, I just felt like, he's a great leader of people, a great leader of men. And, I really felt like he was the dynamic leader I needed in the room, not just for the players, but also for the coaches, especially with me being an offensive guy. I just felt like, and I loved his background. I love the fact that he was a very successful high school coach as well. And, all things just kept coming back to him. And, but then I had to kind of wait. But within about the first hour, or 10 minutes of our hour conversation, I knew, like, okay, this is the guy, and he's a great fit, and it's been awesome. I mean, he is a great fit. We really align in a lot of things, and so it was right timing, right fit, and all worked out. So he's done an awesome job. To this point, obviously we're going to open up with LSU, so we'll find out then. But been off to a good start this spring.
Dabo, I think a lot of people, look at your roster. They see the evolution of Cade Klubnik's game. They see the receivers you mentioned, and the defensive line that you guys have might be the best in the country. There's a lot of things to like about your roster. Some pretty high expectations when heading into spring now, and finally getting this team on the field and getting a feel for who they are. Do you sense that this team has something in it that can reach some of the heights that are represented in those 2 trophies behind you?
Yeah, I mean, those are hard. Those are hard. Like I said, we've won 3 of them in 130 years. So those things are hard to get, and for anybody. But I think that this is a team that has a chance to compete for this league, and I think if you can compete for your league, you have an opportunity beyond that, and that's where it always starts for us. It's just taking them one at a time, and I think. We do have a proven quarterback. That's always exciting when you have a guy that's, you can't just give a guy experience. But this kid really is the epitome of Clemson, just believes in everything. That's why he came here, and just has continued to develop. So he's got a ton of experience. He's got a lot of confidence to go with it. I think the one thing about this team that's maybe a little different from the last couple of years is, they've seen the top of the mountain, getting back to the playoffs, and they've seen it and didn't quite get there, but they've got a clear vision, I think, and a clear understanding of what it takes. We got great leadership. We lost 1 defensive lineman. We lost 1 offensive lineman. Both those guys will probably get drafted here. We lost 1 backer and 1 safety. They'll get drafted. We lost 1 tight end and 1 running back. They'll get drafted. Other than that, everybody's back. And we added a great signing class. I think our last, probably back to 22, we've really, I think, done a nice job with our recruiting classes. And we've kind of built, and I think you've seen that. I mean, we've, again, won the league 2 out of the last 3 years, 8 out of the last 10 years. Getting back to the playoffs was big this year from an experience standpoint for our team. But we're going to be led in the trenches on both sides. We've got a lot of guys back up front. I think we've got really good skill, but most importantly, we got an outstanding quarterback. And I think we got a really good backup quarterback too in CV. So, we've got the ingredients. We got a kicker who can make a game-winning kick. So we've got good experience. We've got the right ingredients, but man, it's just a lot of work to do. And you got to show up every week, show up every day. We got to finish strong these next couple weeks in spring. Have a great summer. You always got to get a little lucky with your help. There's a lot that goes into it. But I like our team. I think we're a team that's got a chance, and that's all you can ask for. And you got to go take advantage of each and every opportunity.
And you got to ask about crazy legs. The crazy legs.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We realized last year how well Cade runs. I'm assuming you guys knew that all along. Where were you hiding that? I mean, this guy's like the next Michael Vick.
Yeah, well, 80-yard runs to the house, man.
Yeah, well, he just had never really had to do that, and we saw that. He was a track kid in high school. Like, this dude can move, and we know how fast he is. I mean, he's fast. but he wasn't a confident runner. And he just hadn't really done it a whole lot. And he really never really had to. He never lost a game in high school. And that was also a part of his journey. His sophomore, junior, senior year, he won 3 state championships. He never lost a game. Didn't lose a game. And so I think the closest game he had was 14 points. So, that was a part of his development as well. So he comes in here and then he goes to the Elite 11. He wins the Elite 11. He comes to Clemson. He's the backup. He's, physically a little behind and getting there. And then all of a sudden we put him in the ACC championship his freshman year. He wins the MVP. Like life is good, right? Like he's got all this great stuff. Well, then his first year as a starter, really the first time that he's had football adversity in his life, turning the ball over, ball handling, making some interceptions, taking sacks, TFLs. And so we lost some close games, some gut wrenchers, all of a sudden, instead of how great you are, here comes the criticism, here comes the noise. Well, how are you going to grow through that? And it's just been awesome to see him come back through the other side of that. And he's so much better because all of us grow from struggle. All of us grow stronger from strain, from having some adversity in our life, if we're made of the right stuff. And that's what he's been able to do. And it's been awesome. But that was a huge, his first year, it would drive me crazy. There were so many times that it's 2nd and 10. He could have easily made it 3rd and 4. But instead, he's standing there holding the ball. Now it's 3rd and 10. And just, he could have, it's 2nd and 10, excuse me. He could have made it 3rd and 4. And now it's 3rd and 10 because he wouldn't run. He just wasn't comfortable. So that was a huge part of challenging him last year. And really the end of his first year as a starter in 23, you started to see that. You started to see him, especially that game-winning drive in the bowl game against Kentucky. He had to use his legs, and he started gaining some confidence. And the game has slowed down. He really understands coverages. He knows when that the defense is exposed, when his legs can really hurt people. So, and then obviously we've made him a runner too. We've taken advantage as he's gotten physically a little bit more put together, and his confidence has grown. We have asked him to run in some critical situations. And so his confidence is sky high. He knows his legs. He can beat people with his legs, his mind, his heart, and his arm. And so, that's going to serve him well and all of us well as we go into this next season.
This is what I'm very excited about. We close these interviews with the same question. And so you're one I'm fascinated to hear the answer to this. So Dabo Swinney, if you got one or several, it's either way. What are your basic rules for life, or what is your one rule for life?
Oh man. Well, my one rule for life is to build your life on a foundation of faith. That's just my one rule for life. If you're going to ask me that, I think to not take advantage of our platform here. I'm sure there's 10 million people watching this. I need to
at least
I need to make sure that I say that. I think so many times in life we try to build our life on a foundation that just it's not stable. Whether it's your job, your family, your bank account, it's a football, it's your favorite team, whatever. I think sooner or later life brings us all to our knees, and we're going to have a circumstance that, man, if you don't have faith, you can get washed out to sea. And I think you need to be anchored and build your life on a strong foundation of faith. That's kind of the first thing I would say. And then I think as a football coach, we all need good fundamentals. For me, my fundamentals of life have always been to keep my eyes on the Lord in the good and bad. Whether things are great, whether things are terrible, just keep my eyes locked in and focused on Christ. And that's how you don't get distracted by all the things that are going on. And that's how you keep perspective in life. So keep your eyes on the Lord. You got to believe. You got to believe in yourself. You have to believe in God's plan for your life. And then you can't ever quit. When the adversity comes, when success comes, you can't quit. You got to continue to apply those fundamentals for life. So that's kind of what I would tell you. And then just another big picture thing for me, I've always said that, and I love I don't know who said it, but it's kind of a philosophy for me is, you don't stop playing because you grow old. You grow old because you stop playing. Like, man, you got to keep moving, right? If you rest, you rust. Like, you got to keep moving. All right. That's just a mentality that I think will serve everybody well. And so that's a few things. I could give you a few more if you want them. Another thing I'd tell you is, nobody's greatness isn't your destiny. It's your decision. And like, you got to decide every day, every single day, is the glass half full or half empty? And growth follows belief. So you're going to grow in whatever direction your beliefs are, And so, that's just a few things. And again,
one of my favorites that I've heard you say a bunch of times, and I remember I talked to you about this. I think it was the 10-year anniversary of you being the interim coach at Clemson, which was just like, I'm fascinated by that entire 3-month span. But you said grow where you're planted, and that's something you've said a lot over the course of your life. But I always find, you talk to people and they're like, well, if only this had happened, or if I was here, or if I'd gotten this job. Like, the grow where you're planted part of it is something that I don't know. I don't think I realized till later in life, but that's, if you can accept that and understand that early, it feels like it solves a lot of problems.
You just got to bloom where you're planted. That's what I always say. Just be great where your feet are. So many people are so focused on, other people's grass, and they always, like if you're counting somebody else's sprinkles on their ice cream cone, yours is going to melt. Like, just be great where your feet are, man. Like, have a lifestyle of now. None of us are promised tomorrow. None of us. Next week, next month. But we're so burdened by unborn tomorrows. We're so burdened by things that, may never happen. And we choose fear over faith. Instead of just having a lifestyle of now, having the right perspective. And because, again, and we can't do anything about yesterday. Like, there's no hope for a better yesterday. We can't do anything about that. So just bloom where you're planted, man. Just right here, right now, be engaged, be present. And, I think that's how you have happiness in your life. You have to, that's just a mindset, that you have to have. And it's, if you're great at what you're doing, somebody's going to notice that. Like,
Dabo would be a heck of a philosophy professor. I don't know if this football thing.
Well,
somebody's going to notice.
When are you writing the book? When are you writing the book?
I've already written the book. I've lived it. I've already written it. I've just, somebody can put it together if they want.
We'll do it. 40%.
You drive a hard bar. I've actually ghostwritten a couple. You don't get 20%. Ari, so sorry.
You're going to start high. That's another rule for life. When negotiating, start high.
Start high.
Well,
another one.
When you're ready.
One of my favorites. You don't get what you expect. You get what you inspect. All right. We expect our kids to clean their room, but if you don't go up there and inspect it every now and then, how do you know?
You know what would be great? And I don't know if all of these are Dabo originals or not. But those like calendars like this that are like on your desk where you like rip the sheet off every day, and then like
Daboism a day.
Daboism a day, because it's like, what was the one what was the one that ended with rust? Because it made me want to go to the gym.
If you rust, you need to go to the gym.
Rust.
You know what I'm about to do? You know what I'm doing in 20 minutes? I'm going down and I'm playing noon basketball. All right.
You're in a
who I'm covering. I'm locking Spiller down because I'm his kryptonite. I'm gonna lock him down today.
Dabo, you might have met him, but the dude that does the algorithm for all the basketball gambling plays in your league. His name is Tyler Shoemaker, and I follow all of his plays, and he plays in your league.
In my men's league?
Yeah, his team is Duck Dynasty. I don't know if you've played these people, but he's played against you, and he said that he's gonna meet you at the board. So you got to go up strong, okay?
The locking down CJ Spiller thing is amazing to me, because
I am his kryptonite. I really am, and so I try to always be on the opposite team of him, and I take him. So yeah, we got a big game today at noon. Again, you got to keep playing, man. You got to keep moving. You just gotta live your life one day at a time. I will do what I can while I can, so that when I cannot, I will not wish that I would have when I could have. Right? Like right now.
Here
right
we go
now.
again.
Right
it's
now.
Amazing.
What you gonna do today?
Go lock down CJ Spiller. Tell him I said hi, and I'm still surprised because I was in the gym at Union County High School when he put the Tiger Paw hat on, and we went over to interview him.
Oh,
and I said,
there.
I said,
wow.
I said, well, what caused you to pick Clemson? And he said, well, it was the receivers coach who's my lead recruiter. He was the one that really did. Dabo Swinney. I said, can you spell that for me?
Who? What was that?
It was 2006. Who knew?
We were doing a series a few years ago. I know you have to go, Dabo. Sorry, but we were doing a series a few years ago.
You said you were criticizing my roster. So who do you not like? Who do you want me to get rid of?
No. It wasn't individual play.
That's what I tell them. I'm like, guys, when they say they want me to use this portal, they want me. What they're really saying is they don't believe in you. They want me to get rid of you. That's what they're really saying. So I want to know, like, who you want me to get rid of?
Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get your number. I'm going to call Jim Nagy, and I'm going to figure out what they're paying him, and then I'm going to take 120% of whatever he's getting. I'll move to Clemson with my family. And then
we'll still negotiating.
Then we'll go through it.
You guys are great, man.
I wanted to tell you, Dabo, one last thing. I was doing a series where I was asking coaches what their biggest recruiting regret was. And I got to Urban Meyer, and his was CJ Spiller. So you can tell him that when you go play basketball with him.
CJ Spiller twice.
Yeah.
I've got Urban on the wall down. So we have this quote wall in the building. Like anytime somebody says something like we put them on the wall. And so we've got Urban kind of talking a little bit about that part of it. When he came in here, because he'd never been here. So he's a part of the building now, as is 4 or 5 other coaches that have made some great comments, like Coach Saban.
I will be on that wall one day. I promise you that.
Coach Saban had a great quote. He said, "This is why you come to Alabama, to play teams like Clemson." That was a keeper. Like that.
Go lock down CJ Spiller, as Urban Meyer couldn't do the first time or the second time.
Or the second time, yeah.
I don't know. There's always kids. To answer your question, there's always kids like you miss out on.
Well, who's yours?
I mean, like, honestly, I go back to Alabama and missed out on Jericho Cotchery, but everybody missed out on him. He ended up going to NC State. But there's always some guys like that. But at the end of the day, man, I don't live my life with regret. I really don't. I believe that God never says oops. I believe God never says my bad. Even when we screw up, even when we make mistakes, I think it's all Romans 8:28. All things work together for good. Even the things we don't like. And I believe that. So I don't really spend a lot of time with my eyes in the rearview mirror, living with regret. I just believe, hey, God's will's done. And, if we just keep our eyes on him and continue to believe and we don't quit, that, in the end, we're going to live a great life.
Appreciate it, Coach. Thank you so much.
Dabo was awesome. Thanks so
much.
much.
Man, you guys are great.
Good luck on the court.